What's going on, everybody? What's up, Brad? What's up, Zoe? Amped to be talking to you guys today. Brad and I have been thinking about doing a cool video, a cool pod, doing a wrap-up for Supercross. I'm amped. We're finally getting a chance to do it. We've got two awesome people that I get the chance to talk to today. You guys know Mr. Brad Gebhardt of Big MX Radio and Miss Zoe Brown, our past intern, a.k.a. the one person who keeps this whole thing together pretty much. So I'm really amped to get these guys going and start talking. We're also doing a joint podcast with Big MX Radio. If you guys aren't listening, please tune in to Big MX Radio. Brad is phenomenal. Big MX Radio runs stuff in Canada, huge presence in the United States, and please do your part to support the guys that support us. I'm amped to get into it, to go through a whole rundown of Supercross. Brad, I know you are too, man. Like, what's one thing you're really looking forward to getting into?
Well, first of all, let's just huge round of applause for Feld for getting all 17 rounds in. We talked about it on the Big MX Radio podcast, is that it was going to be next to impossible to be able to get these rounds in these trying times, all that shebang and all the things we were dealing with. And I was a skeptic. I didn't think that was going to happen. I think the majority of what we're going to talk about today is getting those rounds in, and then once we were able to lock our feet down in Salt Lake, the awesome race action that ensued. I appreciate you having us on the YouTube channel. This is going to be fantastic. Zoe is a fantastic view of the sport as well. She's got a really unique perspective, and she's also going to keep us in line, which is very, very important. And it'll be my job to take us out of line. So, and some out of line comments to come along with it. So I appreciate you having us. Zoe, I know you've been an active viewer and a rider. You love the sport. So my first question to you, before I let Dave say anything more, and he probably won't say a whole lot for the rest of the video, is how the hell does a young lady from up in the northern echelons of the United States of America become so passionate about the motocross industry and the sport in itself that you develop enough of an opinion that you get to share it with the likes of Dave Drakes and myself?
And yourself. Well, that's the important part, right? I started riding when I was 13. I've got three brothers, my dad, my sister. All of a sudden, it was one summer, hey, you guys want to start riding? My sister and I shared a bike the first year. They didn't think we'd stick with it. And after that, they were like, oh, shit, they're going to really enjoy this. And all of a sudden, all five kids, and my dad are racing at the track every single frickin' weekend. I mean, you couldn't take us off the track. If we weren't racing, we were hitting church, and we were hitting practice right after. And so until I graduated high school, every single weekend was at the track. I ended up meeting my husband, Zach, in college, and he really kept that going because he was in the sport as well. And throughout this time, I was just becoming more and more of an activist, wanting to play a bigger piece in helping these tracks, helping the local tracks keep going, get people involved, etc. But also stand up for women who ride and making sure people are aware that that is a real thing. And some of us can kick butt, especially Dave's, any day of the week. So because of that, I had to join his internship program to show him what's up. And here we are from there.
Absolutely, that's fantastic.
That is hilarious. That's hilarious.
Can you vouch for that, Dave? Is Zoe faster than you on two wheels? Like, is that just do we have photographic evidence, or we just have to take her at her word?
We have no evidence that Zoe is just doing all this hearsay, and somehow she's gotten like 4 different pros in the paddock to agree with her out of just blatant disrespect.
Just hearsay. Just hearsay.
It's not disrespect. It's called selling yourself.
So whatever. I'm gonna race her this year. She's kind of on the mend right now, but we're gonna get it going. To follow up with what Zoe said, Zoe was actually a big part of the program last year. She joined our SX Internship Program and ran with it and was able to really help us out a lot, get us organized. Kept us very well fed and on track, on schedule. And she made the rounds. I think you went to Minnesota with us, Tennessee, and Indy. And became just a mainstay in the pits and made a lot of cool connections. Met with a lot of cool people, a lot of different teams and stuff like that. And she's well on her way to do some cool stuff. Be way cooler than me and Brad at least. So
try my best. Just kidding. I got to touch on Brad's little eye roll there about the keeping him fed. So I showed up with a whole bunch of snacks because if you know me, that's how I roll. And I fed Dave the entire Minneapolis Supercross. Like, this kid didn't know how to eat, and he was getting hangry in the corner. We took care of it.
Okay, yeah, he does get a little bit hangry. He's a bit, he's all out of sorts if he hasn't been eating throughout the race day. So I do appreciate you making sure that some good nourishment being sent Dave's way. In fact, more often than not, and we've heard about this multiple times on the podcast, is that Dave is often relies on me to go to some of the trucks that actually have media catering and then bring it back to him so that he has something to eat. So that's something we have in common, is making sure that Dave doesn't just starve to death and get all kinds of hangry for his VIPs every single weekend, of which he does a fantastic job. I've said numerous times in this podcast, Dave, I have to go back and check. You've probably been on near 100 Big MX radio podcasts over the years, a number of years we've been doing the race reviews, plus random pods, plus all of those preview pods where you end up being wrong, and then everything else. Every single time you're on, happen to mention that the best way to go to a motocross race, supercross race, to get the full experience is to go through the collective experience, get behind the velvet rope, get that peer in behind what a Supercross team is all about, what Racing Nationals is really like with guys like Brett Rouse. You're in the pits, you're experiencing the sort of the racecraft and the strategy that comes along with it. Probably having to put on a few tear-offs for guys. That's a job in and of itself. Maybe setting a couple of hole shot devices or two. But the reality is getting completely immersed in the sport of motocross, like Zoe would love to do, like many people who are listening would like to be able to say they can do at a certain Supercross. And maybe only one race comes to your neck of the woods every single year, especially with this limited sort of schedules we're having. Who knows? Maybe Supercross might not be coming to your area for quite some time. You want to be able to maximize your experience by going with the collective experience and being part of that at the next available race. So I think that anybody who loves motocross, you want to go take it in, go dial up Dave over the collective experience. He's fantastic. No free ads, but we like to pump up everything that Dave's got going on over there with the collective. Now, Zoe, you've had the experience, and we won't get into that with Zach and all that, but as far as the experience at the races, I wasn't talking about that whatsoever. Get your mind out of the gutter. What we're talking about is your experience with Dave Drakes at a Supercross race. Nothing else whatsoever. What was it like?
Awesome. I mean, honestly, it's what you bring to it. So I walked in. Dave told me what he looked like. All right, there's not many people that look like him when you walk into a room with his beautiful long locks of hair. So I walked right up to him and I introduced myself. And the first thing he said is he's never had somebody introduce themselves like that before. So I was like, sweet, it's going to be a great day. So we just made a point to make Minneapolis was purely about connections, which was awesome. And then after that, it was Nashville, which AJ was the person I was supposed to be helping out with. He got hurt before that race. Where was that?
Houston?
Texas that he got hurt?
Yeah, I think it was Houston.
Yeah. That's what I thought. So he was out for that race. So then I was helping out with Enteknap, and he crashed during practice pretty bad. So then he was out for his season. So we just kind of hung out that race. It was a blast. At the races, after the races, got to hang out with some at some of the media meals and such. Dave did get his own food that night. Don't worry. And then Indy was probably my favorite. Indy was my favorite because I distinctly remember pushing AJ's bike to the line, AJ looking at me and saying, "Oh, do you need help?" Like straightening it out. And I said, "No, go hold the front," lifted his tire, straightened it out. It's in between Ken Roxon and someone else on this side. I just got the oddest, most impressed looks of, oh, all right, there are no other women on that front line. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was definitely my favorite piece about the whole thing. Met Trigger Racing out there as well, made some connections through that, as well as meeting some other interns I still keep connected with via social media. So it's all about what you make it for. I know Dave kind of preaches that, but really, guys, just step out there. I mean, it's nerve-wracking pushing a bike to the line, but you know that you can do it. What's stopping you from just going up there and setting them straight?
That's way too cool. Maybe someone we could throw her hat in the ring. Maybe alert one Sean Brennan about the strong female character that is Zoe Brown to maybe a 2021 Makeup to Mud. Like, I'm not gonna watch that segment, but it might be a thing that's on TV. And thanks to watching races after the fact with the NBC Sports Gold app, it would be on there. So like, not that I'd watch it, but but you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, Dave, we need to get into some Supercross talk before people completely sign off of this thing. We have we have to start with champions. We have to start with the premier class, and we have to start with a guy who's been after it for a long period of time. Obviously turning pro, I believe, in 2010, 250 class, a journeyman of sorts, wins his very first ever race with, I believe, a 2-2 performance at Hangtown, gets blown up the next weekend in the heat of Texas. But a long time has passed of Eli Tomac being at the front of the pack, ripping hole shots, leading laps, gets to the 450 class. He's got highlights upon highlights of going fast on two wheels, but no titles to speak of. And that's what validates a professional at that echelon. All the guys they talk about, how many championships did they get? When it comes down to who's the greatest, they talk about one thing and one thing alone, and that's championships. And of course, in the grand scheme of things, Eli Tomac will always be a bit sort of disregarded because just on time-wise, he doesn't have the kind of time to go get 5 Supercross championships like Ricky Carmichael. He'd be racing into his 30s for that to happen. But it finally came to fruition. He won the most amount of Supercrosses in the year, and capped it off with a pretty solid day at the final round. But came out there, I believe he won the first 2 races first and third races for Salt Lake City. He showed poise, he showed speed, and most of all, he showed a lot of mental fortitude, which is not something we've seen from him whatsoever. Zoe, I'm curious to get your take on an ascent to greatness and the culmination of a championship, and Eli Tomac being your 2020 Supercross champion. I did a fantastic job of that. Throw my arm out.
Proud of you, Brad. Ever since I got into the sport, Tomac's been a name right at the top of the list. But like you said, he's never been able to get that championship, and that's what they run on. You know, wins is great, but a championship is what sticks out. And I was listening to Rack Racing, his stories the other day, and I found it really interesting. He mentioned that Eli Tomac becoming a dad about a month and a half, 2 months before Salt Lake City really managed to change his mental state. And I think we saw that. Like you said, he had poise in those last few rounds, and that's something that maybe he's always had a little bit, or he has. That's not something I want to take away from him, but you've seen him make little mistakes here or there. Well, I saw that little look you gave me, but he's always made mistakes here or there going around the corner. Whether he tips it, he goes down to 5th, he goes down to 15th. We saw a lot of that last year. So to see him pull it out, we all know he's a kick-ass rider, but to get a championship includes consistency as well. And like you just said, he got the first and the third race, and it was the first and the third because Cooper Webb went first every Wednesday.
Wednesday wonder.
He was the Wednesday wonder. But I thought that was awesome to see. I think it's interesting to hear those other opinions onto how he was able to bring it all together. But just the consistency, he was smart. That last race, he didn't push for the first like he potentially could have, but then you risk anything, an injury, a minor mistake. You go to last, he lost the championship. He was smart about his riding, especially in those last few rounds. He knew what he had to do, but he also knew how comfortable he was sitting. So he was just riding smart, I think. It's a big piece.
Enough. Now, Dave, let's spin the clocks back like Flavor Flav all the way back to Atlanta. The two of us were at Supercross. We're enjoying ourselves. The night show, we're talking about whether or not Eli Tomac when's he going to have that weirdo night? It happened to be that night. Ken Roxon takes that night and absolutely just drops one on everybody. Like just out front, styling, from the very first lap. I think he led every lap of that main event. Just see you later. And from that point, it was tied up going into Daytona. And we thought, this is going to be Ken Roczen's coming out party. He's going to be strong. He's going to be fit. He's going to go all the way to the end of this thing, and he's going to give Eli Tomac everything that he could possibly handle. Spin the clocks back 7 days after that. Eli Tomac comes from way back, about 9 seconds down, halfway through, comes back, last lap pass, goes into the break that we didn't think was going to be coming, but either way, we got this break with a 3-point lead and just put the boots to him. What were your thoughts as seeing Eli have a disaster of an Atlanta? 7 days later, just shows up like the poise of a gunfighter and just fucks everybody up, and then comes into Salt Lake City, and it was just business as usual. Like, I feel like maybe this year, unlike every other year, Eli got in everybody else's head.
I think so too, man. Honestly, I didn't see it coming. I mean, you and I, after our wrap up for Atlanta, going into Daytona, we said that this was the strongest Kenny Roczen that we've ever seen. I mean, the guy laid down laps, he got out front, ran away, stuck it to these guys, kind of left Eli scratching his head, especially the Cowie guys. Really didn't know pretty much what to do with the guy. I mean, he had momentum. He really gelling well with his bike. Doesn't seem like he's faltering or making too many mistakes. He's managing his lead. He looked perfect. So going into Daytona, I think myself and a lot of other people thought Kenny would continue that whole like steam train going, man. Just continue to keep getting these hole shots, continue to keep running away, and just making those points gaps get bigger and bigger on Tomac. And then once we went into the break, just things changed. And even before that, Daytona, yeah, Kenny was strong, but like you said, Tomac came from 9 seconds back to catch the guy that was really had a lot of momentum behind him. That's pretty incredible. I mean, Rexon's not slow. He's on a great bike, and he had momentum behind him. Very lethal thing for any pro rider to have. And Tomac couldn't be denied in Daytona. So even despite that, for sure we thought we'd have a closer battle. We thought, now that Tomac's got the latest win, going into Indy, I think it was Indy, we're going to see a really neck-and-neck fight. And obviously, we had the whole COVID break, didn't have Indy. But when we came back to Salt Lake, Tomac had everyone's number, man. The guy looked super strong. Normally, we knock him for being kind of weak mentally. You can kind of get under his helmet a little bit, play with his mind. There was none of that, man. He managed his races very well, was the fastest guy on the track, and just laid it to him, man. He let the W's go if he didn't need them, kept that points lead just stretched out and kept going and going, and now he's the champion, man. I mean, it's well-deserved, and I thought it was pretty awesome to see he finally got it.
Quick question for you, Dave. Sorry, Brad. Quick question for you, Dave, is Tampa, you said he just came back from 9th, that's what it was, and came up to 1st in that last lap. He was hauling butt, but he's got multiple outdoor championships, and that is the track, out of all of them, that is the most similar to an outdoor track. And it's got everything in there for him to get a win. Do you think that it played into his cards or his hand that that's the race they ended on? Because he just came out blasting. He may not have beat Roczen by that much, but like you said, he came from 9th, so he had this awesome win. So at least he's running on that high. He's got something that he's training for. He knows he's got this. He knows he has that potential. It's not like he just had a shitty race and he was going into Salt Lake kind of, like you said, under his own skin a little bit.
Yeah. I think that definitely helped him. I think Tomac winning that, I think it was Daytona, not Tampa, sorry. Going into going into Daytona, we thought, like I said, we'd see more neck and neck Kenny, Tomac. Tomac just took it, man. I think having an outdoor style track, like you said, really played into Tomac's part. I don't think anyone really doubted that Tomac would be any less than like second, and even then, we thought it would be a very close race. But of course, in Tomac fashion, the guy just bulldogged his way through and had an awesome ride, coming from super far back, catching the leaders, and winning the race. I do think that gave him extra momentum and extra incentive of like, I got to dig deeper. I'm in the championship hunt. I can beat this guy. And he just rolled with that, and that break we had. We had quite a long break, a couple months of him just kind of being able to go back to boot camp and retrain and rework and get himself together. fix those little hiccups in his program that we've seen over the past couple years. And this is a great opportunity to do that mid-season. Usually these guys have to wait till the end of the season to change up their program, kind of go like, okay, scratch your head. What if this guy got a chance to do it mid-season? It was honestly one of the best things that probably could have happened for Tomac, to kind of go back to the drawing board and see how he could up himself even greater and really knock Roxon off his pedestal. And he got it done. So for sure, I think Daytona was a great step in the right direction for Tomac.
Awesome.
Fair enough. I totally agree. I think that if COVID-19 takes grip of the United States and everywhere else 7 days prior, if we were going into this break on the heels of Atlanta, where Roxon, now it's tied. I got all the momentum in the world. Obviously, he had some sort of physical ailments that were hampering his abilities in Salt Lake. But on the mental side of things, I got to imagine that he's coming into Salt Lake with a whole lot more head of steam than he did. And then certainly for Eli, he's kind of like damage control. Like that whole 85-day break, he's just like chewing his fingernails off, figuring out whether or not if that Atlanta was an anomaly, or if he's going to be the champion of 2020 that he became. But honestly, for me, it's a hats off to Team Kawasaki for putting in the work during that break to make sure that they had that Kawasaki absolutely tip to tail as good as it could be. I think they probably went back to the drawing board a slight bit, made a good motorcycle, a great motorcycle, and these guys, Dave, you know, these guys hit the ground during practice. They hit the ground during the week. They have nagging injuries, all kinds of stuff. 85 days later, most guys fit and ready to go. And I think that it was Eli Tomac basically making sure that his body was 100%, bike was 100%, and that's the confidence he needed to basically be able to just ride to his ability those last 7 rounds, collect 2 more wins, and stretch things out. Even when he wasn't winning, he was extending his points lead. It just grew throughout the entire time. He almost wrapped this thing a race early after rolling in there at a 3-point advantage. I think for whatever reason, 2020 was a year where like it almost like it's like there was year 2020 and like 2021A. For a guy like Cooper Webb, because he had that Supercross hangover, literally probably a hangover, and then like gets his lunch fed to him. He doesn't like that. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's like he sees this AC guy who's coming in, leading laps, this, that, and the other thing, doesn't like it. No different than he did in amateurs. Back to the drawing board during the break. Comes out all cylinders flying, and he became the wonder boy of Wednesday. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see another Wednesday race for a long time unless this sort of thing happens again. So sorry, Ralph. I don't know that that's totally relevant at all. It's just he comes out there, and like honestly, hats off to him for not throwing in the towel. There's plenty of guys in other years where they're like kind of one-time champs, so to speak. Like guys like Jeff Emig, one of the only guys to not win a race the year after winning a Supercross title in 1998. Stat guy Brad, no big deal. There will be trivia later, by the way. Hope you're ready. You're probably not ready because I'm going to come up with the questions on the spot. It was fantastic. The series went off without a hitch. I think maybe as viewers, maybe we could give our thoughts on just some of like just the viewing of these Supercross races. It was a very different way of watching Supercross. A lot of day races. For me, day races are weird. No fans in the stands, also weird. Day races with no fans in the stands, ultra weird. I know for Dave and I, like we're at a lot of these races, so we're used to being either on the floor or I'm in my cozy press box with wings and stuff. I just didn't have that. I had my house with my crappy TV, and I don't have the NDP Sports Gold app here in Canada. We have the Video Pass app, which is basically the same thing. It was different. And Zoe, like you watch a lot of these races and sometimes you're taking in the collective experience, being on the floor, pushing bikes to the track, getting yourself on Make Up to Mud. So what was that like for you, watching these Supercross races go down? Like, we had a whole mixed bag of, like, sort of when they were happening, and of course those Wednesday night races were kind of weird too.
Yeah, well, some of us were still in the office, unlike Dave, so we couldn't just log on and watch this on NBC Gold in the middle of the day. So usually it's a Saturday tradition. My family and I used to go to the track. We'd come back, cook dinner, and watch Supercross. That's what we did all night. Doesn't matter if we're staying up till midnight. We probably fell asleep at 10 anyways, and we watched it before church the next morning. So it's definitely weird.
That is like,
it was. It's amazing. But all of a sudden we've got these Sunday afternoon races, and you're like, I wanted to be back out at the track, or these Wednesday races, right? But NBC Gold, it was just more or less a watch when we could. We'd watch them in chunks on Sunday and Monday. Wednesday, Thursday, it's not the same, though, because you see it all come through on social media beforehand. So then you see, oh, Webb won it, but you saw, I'm just throwing this out there, I cannot remember, but Roxon got fifth, and you're like, how did that happen? You know, what crash happened? And so you're trying to watch the whole thing to see it happen probably in the last 2 minutes. It was definitely a different viewing, and I almost wish that social media couldn't post anything, because I wouldn't ever actually stay off of it for the first 24 hours after the race, so that you can actually watch it.
There's that.
Yeah, that didn't ever happen, but it was still cool, and I'm glad they made it work. I think it was cool to see the Supercross community come together, and that piece show through on TV, but also on social media. To see them come together to make it work, even if it was different for everybody involved. Nobody was viewing the same that they would. Even the racers, they're used to fans in the stand, like you said, not just those cardboard cutouts with the Instagram photos on there. So definitely hard to adjust to, but I'd rather watch it in pieces than not watch it at all, because it's not happening.
I agree. It was different. Like, no candles, no lurch screaming, no fans. Like, you still hear the fans go wild when, like, a big crash happens or there's a wild battle, and that supercharges an already amazing sport. So it was different, and I'll totally agree with you on the day race side of things. Like, motocross, especially motocross, is a very participant-based sport. Those who love the sport, they participate in the sport. They're riding on Saturdays and Sundays and what have you. You'd rather be at the track twisting the throttle than watch people doing it on TV. So that was, and that's something that the outdoors faces every single summer. Like, there's like Dave, I've told you a million times, I'd rather be at the track trying to learn how to maybe go a little bit fast on two wheels, which I'm not.
At least you know it.
Like, I'll figure out how to power shift one of these days. You never know. Get my 252 stroke out of first gear one of these days. But either way, that's the reality of it. But if you took the time to stay off social media or to watch them live, it was good racing. There was a lot of awesome stuff going on with the storylines and different guys winning. Heck, we had, for the first time in I believe as many as 15 years, we had a manufacturer sweep a podium. That hasn't happened since 2004 when Team Yamaha did it with, I believe that's Ferry, Villeman, and Chad Reed. I can't use it as a trivia question now. But like, you got the Husqvarna guys, the white KTMs 1, 2, 3. That was pretty impressive. You have Wednesday Night Wonders coming in. You got 250 guys going back and forth. For whatever reason, Shane McElrath is either awesome one night or he's a shell of his former self, which is weird to watch. But we were treated some really interesting racing, and I was like, we could sort of talk about, and it sort of got disjointed, and then we can get into that a little bit. But the 250 shootout, and I'm going to call it a shootout because that's what it is. It's not a showdown; it's a shootout. Despite what people may call it, I love that. I think it was Chase that called it a shootout, and I was like, yeah. On the podium, he still called it a shootout because that's what they've always been called. But because of the world now, you can't call things that. But the shootout, like, it was almost kind of like anticlimactic that you had so much talent packed into one race. And then you also had Faulkner doing somersaults and apparently losing a spleen. And then you had Ferrandis getting pancreas. Same thing. Oh, no, he has spleen removed as well.
Cut his pancreas in half.
Did I know? And then you've got Ferrandis just like moving up, but then he realizes he doesn't have to, so he's sort of just hanging out. And then McAdoo is launching everybody into the third row. And then this weird sort of back and forth by the two guys on the west. Or the East rather, with McElrath and Chase Sexton, who it just kind of became a much ado about nothing, with Chase taking the lead and then going, "Lates, I got a championship party to plan."
Yeah.
So yeah, like Zoe, maybe you can kind of like could be our little sounding board about it. The 250 classes coming together, the last round of the year, tons of talent. Although it didn't turn into fantastic racing, there's so much potential for cool shit to happen when those two classes get together.
Yeah, definitely. I think the heats were particularly like you're sitting on the edge of your seat watching those, because all of a sudden these guys are really going at it to make sure that they were making the main event. All the amateurs that maybe are just pushing a little bit harder than usual, so that's kind of getting in the way of the other guys. So I thought the heats were super entertaining to watch. As far as the main, you're exactly right. I mean, you had Fernandez kind of calming down on the back because Faulkner had already crashed. Sexton kind of walked away once he got into the lead, but he rode smart at the same time. I mean, he knew when to keep his head on straight, and he knew that he was in a good position. But I mean, he could have fallen back to second and been okay, because McElrath had fallen back to fourth, I believe. I think there was one more position in there, but McAdoo was making sure his name was known, and being from Minnesota, Southwest Minnesota, damn near by Iowa, that's kind of cool to see. I'm pretty sure we've seen him at some local tracks before, so that was cool to see him come out. But he was just making sure he was known. People knew who he was before the season was done. But yeah, you just kind of had that mix of like, I'm going to go all out because this is the last race of the season, and I'm in a position that will get me where I want to be. Let me just stay here. So it was a weird. Some people were treating it like a shootout, and some were a showdown. That's probably a good way to put it.
Maybe. Okay.
But I prefer the shootout. Let's go. Let's see who the fastest kid is out there. But I understand that there's a bigger picture. So I don't know. It was good racing, but the heats to me showed a lot more grit out of a lot more riders.
Fair enough, Dave. I know you love those things. Like, wouldn't you love to just see like at least three shootouts every single year? Like, I think that's what the plan is basically every year, that you have that. But like, it's just so awesome to see both coasts coming together, best on best. Like not to say the back half of a regular 250 main doesn't have a lot of speed, but like you basically take the two top tens and smash them together, and see who's got the speed. And you start to see where the depth is. You see where that top end speed is, because they all go out for practice together and they're battling for top times. It's really, really interesting. What are your thoughts on shootouts?
I like them, man. I love them. Any chance you get to throw like the best guys of anything together, whether it's 450, 250, super minis, 50, it's going to be a great race. And I think this year, unlike most years, we have had 3 or 4 guys. It might not have been throughout the whole entire season for either coast, but it's 3 or 4 guys at least on the back half or middle of both coast seasons that show that they can win. You know, you had Faulkner, you had Nichols, you had Cooper, you had Ferrandis, you had Sexton, you had the Lawrence brothers could make an appearance here and there. You had so many people. I mean, you had Alex Martin showing a wheel here and there sometimes too, being inconsistent, but he was still there. I mean, it was incredible, man. And I think we had a really good opportunity to not only see the best of the best battle tooth and nail at the last round, kind of ode to Vegas, I guess, but also a chance to see who could play a spoiler. Like, how are the team tactics going to come up? What rider doesn't like this rider and is going to get in the way of his teammate's championship or his championship, or, you know, just all of the cool things that we like about racing. I thought we had a really cool opportunity to see it. You know, we had a couple of rookies that were battling for Rookie of the Year, and just a lot of cool stuff that culminated. Ultimately, like you guys said, in the main event, I don't think we got what we kind of expected. Faulkner fell, kind of knocked himself out of contention. Like you said, my guy Ferrandis, kind of, I want to say he battled, but towards the end kind of played it safe. He's like, you know what, I don't want to throw it away. I'll settle for this third or fourth, keep it going that way. I don't think we saw nearly as many talented guys up there that could play a spoiler. I'm looking at McAdoo. I'm looking at Moisman. I think those two guys. Yeah, I believe those two guys, or Mosman, sorry. I think those two guys could have really played a spoiler, man. I really thought that Mosman would have had like a wheel in there on first. Him and McAdoo kind of battling out for, I guess, the next of the best who are in line to really do some cool things next year. So I was a little bit disappointed. Still, it's still really cool to see the guys out there battling regardless. Sexton rode an amazing race. Really, I think he was in control of that race, like pretty much from practice. The guy just looked like he was mentally strong the whole entire day. Didn't give a crap about what McElrath was doing. He was going to go out there, run away, and just do the best that he could possibly do, and he did it. So hats off to him. Hats off to Ferrandis. I'm really stoked to see Ferrandis get another title. I would have loved to have seen just a little bit more dicing, a little bit more parity in that class, but I was happy with it, man. Ultimately, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'll be critical like Brad.
7 out of 10. Good lord.
I'm happy.
If you being critical, he's
giving
7 though.
I'll take it.
You couldn't do those Barstool pizza reviews. You'd be like, "Oh, this is like the best pizza ever." This is a 10.
With food, no. If you feed me, it's a 10 it's a 20 out of 10, dude. Everything's a 20 out of 10. If I don't have to pay for it and it's food, come on, dude. 100 out of 10.
Yeah. Everyone just found out that Dave is for sale, and it's not a steep asking price whatsoever. But looking forward towards next year, there's going to be more talent in the class. There will be some shuffling of chairs. If you look at the teams that are available with spots, there's not nearly enough spots for talented guys that need to have rides. Guys on the bubble, guys like Benny Bloss, guys like Shane McElrath. You win Supercross races in the 250s, you better have a ride in the 450s. And I don't know what exactly his ride will look like. I think you're going to see a Star Racing Yamaha with white plates on it, believe it or not. Which is going to be something new that they haven't done very much. Well, if you want to go like Yamaha satellite teams, then maybe Chad Reed / Ivan Tedesco back in 2003, stat guy Brad.
Do you think that's a good venture for Star Racing? Do you think it's a good outlet for them to get into, to have a 450 outfit?
I think it's something that a team will do in good faith when they've got a rider who's been good to them and has supported them in the past and put up results and sort of moves on to the next class and doesn't quite have like a place to get solid footing. I think it looks good on an organization that will go forward and support that person, a la
like Tomac with the Geico deal first year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because Geico didn't want to do a 450 deal for a long time. Yep. They just kept finding themselves in a situation where they had guys under contract that had moved up. And what do you do with these guys? It happened for Will Hahn. It happened for Tomac. Also happened for Justin Bogle. And they were not nice enough, but they continued on with those guys. And same thing for Pro Circuit when Tickle, not at all sort of thinking he was going to win that 2011 Supercross title. I think it was 11 or maybe it was 12. Either way, for the following year, they had Traxxas come on to support a 450 deal, but for no reason, for no real they didn't intend to go to the 450 class. They're just like, all right, one of our guys is moving up. Yeah. He's got nowhere to go. We got to support him. And hats off to any organization that goes ahead and does that. Because I don't think they have to. They do that because that it's in good faith and just sort of it looks good on the sponsors, obviously. But it's Yamaha has its own team. I don't think Yamaha as a corporation is overly stoked to have basically a rival team with different sponsors than the factory deal. Having someone ride. Obviously, they share a lot of deals. Of course, they both do Vortex sprockets and stuff like that. But it is a sort of like would be a sort of a competing team, and now they're going to have 2 guys on Yamaha, a third guy with Star, as far as I know. There's going to be a ton of musical chairs. Like I said, there's not a space for everybody. Somebody's going to be left empty-handed, and I hope that it's not a guy like Benny Bloss, who at the very end of this season, I know he showed a lot of promise, a lot of speed. I know, like Zoe, you'd love to spin the wrenches for that guy someday. He's got a lot of talent, and he's also one of the funniest guys to interview in the sport. So, and that brings me to my next question, Zoe. Like, you've worked with a number of athletes in the past, you've gone on the line with a ton of guys. Who's one guy, if you could have like an ultimate, like anybody in the field, you're going to align with that guy, prepping him for the races. First of all, who do you think you'd have like sort of like gel with, like you'd have a good kind of rapport with, and who would be at the absolute top? Just like, yeah, I want to push that guy's bike to the line, A, because we're gonna win, and B, because it would be cool.
Might be talking about the same person. I think Kenny just sounds like such a good guy to just BS with all day. He seems laid back enough, serious about the sport, but kind of doesn't treat it like it's everything in the world. Which obviously is good for a balance. And I think that he's just always shown a fun, relaxed side to him. Like I said, sounds like looks like he'd be fun to BS with. And that's kind of what I enjoy doing when I'm at the races, especially when it puts Dave in the hot seat. So I think he sounds like a good person to hang out with. As far as a privateer goes, I know Entic Knapp was just kind of cool to have conversations with her throughout the morning, obviously before he got injured when I was helping him that day, but just very down to earth people. They make it enjoyable. They want to teach you about the sport. They want to have a good time. And I appreciate people that can treat me like we're on the same level. Let's just have a conversation. I know I don't know as much as they do and vice versa about different things, but we're all just going to hang out like we're great friends. It's not a power struggle or anything like that. And Entic Knapp was awesome when it came to that.
Fair enough. And like, I think you would probably back me up on this one, Dave. Who would you say is your, like, I think Entic Knapp would probably be your answer, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like the easiest guy to work with, easiest guy to set things up with, whether it be last minute or even like ahead of the season, getting things ready to go for the collective. And honestly, probably one of the guys that's if they're all wide open, the first person to get pulled off the list of availability is usually the 722.
Dave's definitely going to say Tapia.
Why though? It's just daytime program. It makes no sense.
Honestly, man, like I would probably say Adam Entic Knapp for like the last couple of seasons, but this most recent season, actually maybe the most recent past 2 seasons, I would say his brother Tyler, man, is like they're so easy to work with. They're so amenable. They're so giving. Like Zoe said, they want to bring everybody in their program. But I think Tyler's like popularity with the program is just, people are just like, they were dying to get that guy this year, and he had a couple people that signed up, but ultimately it was like, hey man, he's not riding this year. He's doing the full-time gig with Feld. It's going to be tough to get it going, so I had to kind of turn some guys to some other riders. But yeah, Tyler was just like, people just gravitated to the guy last couple of seasons. So it'd probably be a toss-up between the 2 Entic Knapp brothers. But luckily for me, every rider that I have, they're super great to work with. They're so nice to people. They have just as much fun as the interns and fans do. Like, they are smiling ear to ear when, like, you know, one of their fans or interns that gets a shot of them doing some cool stuff on the track. Just talking to them about, like, every day-to-day life. They love it. So I've been really blessed to have just a great group of riders that keeps growing every year. The list keeps growing, and their passion for the sport keeps going, and their passion for getting more fans and interns keeps growing as well. So, yeah, it's been great. It's been super great. So yeah, the Entic Knapp brothers, they're probably got a monopoly on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Perhaps so many people signing up, so maybe they could give Tyler some advice on the microphone. He surely needs it.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
What's that?
We're getting there. He's getting better. Towards the end, like, dude was solid, man. He's getting solid.
Absolutely. Much like myself on 2 wheels, you're always improving when there's a lot of room for improvement. So let's go to the trivia questions. late in the episode here. We're creeping up on an hour, mainly because we're supposed to start at 8:30, and Zoe wasn't there ready till a quarter after.
Come on,
Sorry, guys.
Zoe. Come on.
Throwing a frisbee.
Right, that's what you get when I take 2 weeks to try and schedule this with both of you.
That's on Dave. That's on Dave.
It's on both of you.
Sorry.
It's on Dave. I was ready. I was like, I had no technical issues. I had no responsibility, and that's just a character flaw of mine. So before I ask these questions, Zoe, I need to know sort of like what your range of like if I ask a super obscure 90s question, you're going to be like out to lunch, right?
I was born in 98, and I really don't know anything before that, so yeah.
Okay, all right. So, and I know Dave only started watching dirt bikes like 2 years ago, so we're a little bit limited.
Who's that number 5 guy, man? He goes fast on an orange bike. I don't know what
he was going fast. You're ridiculous.
Quick story for you, Dave. Dungy was at FCA camp in Minnesota one year. Sat down, had lunch with my brother, who is like the biggest geeked out fan. He's almost 13 now, so he was like 10 at the time. Has now his entire room, he's got the 5-foot poster of Dungy. It's an orange room. He's got a signed jersey hung up there. Oh, great guy. Made this little kid's day, probably his life.
Dungy's such a good dude, man. Like, I didn't give that guy enough credit while he was racing, but once he retired and started talking to him more, he's such a solid dude, man. And
he's just a family guy.
I would go fishing with Ryan Dungy.
100%.
Or drink wine with him. I think I've heard he enjoys wine. Okay, so let's can we do 2011 like as a like some
we can try.
I was out to lunch in 2011, dude. I was full blown like college mode. I didn't know what my name was. I was so buried in books. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, neither
buried
one.
in books.
All right. Keeping it local for Zoe, we'll stay with that Ryan Dungy theme. Champion 2010 as a rookie. He had a mechanical failure in 2011, which held him back more than anything, resulting in the 2011 championship not going to him and went to Ryan Villapoto instead. What was that bike malfunction?
What race was it at?
It was early in the season. I want to say it was Phoenix.
Was it Minneapolis?
Ooh,
Where was it, Phoenix?
I know what this one is.
Dave,
right, go
ahead.
Can I think this was it. Was it the rear shock blowout?
It was not. It was the Suzuki days.
Oh, Suzuki. That was, yeah, you're right. That was
He raced 2 seasons on Suzuki's. Roger goes to KTM, and then he joins them 1 year later after the championship. It was a broken chain.
Yeah.
Really?
A chain derailment, for the most part, costing Dungy the championship that year, and then he boiled fuel, or I think either boiled fuel or ran out of gas at one of the rounds in the outdoors, which also handed the championship to Villapoto later on that season. Okay, let's
we
go.
We both suck, Zoe. It's okay.
It's all right. That just means you're older than I am.
Oh.
What's the next question, Brad?
I'm 31 years old. I have like I could probably name the like who won the 1985 outdoor championship in the 500. So it would have been 85 is David Bailey.
That's impressive. I'll give you credit. Can't make your ego too big, but that's pretty cool.
Cool. Okay, so let's go 2000, and I believe this is the first round of 2016.
Okay.
His first Supercross win came at Anaheim 1. Who was it?
Was it No. I'm questioning myself now.
Won Anaheim. Basically, just who won Anaheim 1 2016.
Yeah. I feel like I'm... Dave, you can guess first. I'm not very confident in my answer.
Was Roxon?
No.
Roxton did not win that race. It was Jason Anderson.
Okay, did you hear me say Ander? I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I was not confident.
It was not Ander. It was not Ander. It was not Jason Ander. It was you had it up until you just No, sorry.
What year was it? Let you steal. What year was it where Kenny won because Stewart scissored through the whoops? That 14?
I believe that
was 14 or 13 or 14, wasn't it?
It's 13 or 14. I want to say it was 13.
Okay. Wow, man. Anderson. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was...
Then he won his championship 2 years later.
Yes, in 2018. I mainly remember it because it was that god-awful, ugly-looking Husky from the first year that had, like, the weird front fender and, like, the whole...
yeah.
And, not to say that the two-tone back number plates are any better nowadays, but...
a little bit.
Fair enough. Dean Wilson. Dean Wilson rode a Kawasaki for his very first Supercross. For what team?
What Cowie team?
What Cowie team did he race his very first 450 Supercross with?
Ooh.
Was that like early 2000? Was that like 2012?
It's Daytona 2014.
Okay. So he was,
I don't have any confidence in my answers going forward.
Go for it, Dave. I didn't have any confidence in my Anderson, so I didn't get the point because I said Ander.
How was it? Reed's team?
This is not going well.
Was it Team 2-2?
Yeah, 2-2 Kawasaki.
There we go.
That's when James jumps over his head on the wall. Maybe these questions are a bit too obscure at this time. May have to
1 for 3. We're not doing too bad.
Okay.
We'll go 2 for 3.
Yeah, like, we almost went 2 for 3. I'm not. Yeah, like that's the Ander was there. You like I wanted to coach you through that, but I couldn't. I
saw the smirk too, but I just didn't have confidence. You know what? That's my rookie. I get the point anyways. There's my introduction to Big Kart Radio or Big MX Radio.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give it to you. If I can sway voting in any way or a judgment call in any way to besmirch the good name of Dave Drakes, then I'll certainly do that. Currently, he's losing to a young lady in trivia. He's probably going to lose to a young lady later on this month in the racing dirt bikes. It's a sad day for Dave Drakes. Now, Dave Drakes is wearing an FXR hat. Where in North America do they have their headquarters?
Minnesota. Do I have to get more specific? Isn't it Minnesota? Do I have to get more specific?
Yes, be very specific.
Well, they've got one of their offices is Forest Lake, Minnesota, but I don't think that's their headquarters, is it? No.
Dave?
Shit.
It's going to be Canada.
It is in Canada.
And I want to say...
Isn't that guy from Minnesota?
He's not from Minnesota.
I think
I've rode with him quite a few times at the tracks.
Milt Reimer?
One of them. The guy was telling me he was the owner of FXR.
Yeah. Milt goes down to Minnesota a lot, I believe.
That's probably what it was then. It was Milt, but okay. Yeah. I thought he was just from Minnesota.
Older guy, looks like a greyhound because he's got like 3% body fat.
Yeah, and he kicks ass at the sandbox. I know.
And he goes really fast. Yeah.
Because he rode vet women, and that didn't look too good for me.
Oh man.
It's practice.
I want to say Manitoba.
Yes, Milt Reimer he's originally from Steinbach, Manitoba, which is closer to the border, but they now have their headquarters in Oak Bluff, Manitoba, which is about 5 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. Cool. So I think Dave gets the point for that because he
does. He totally does. That's all right.
And Manitoba. I was like spoon feeding that one to Dave because I figured like he's got to know if he doesn't know where his sponsors are from, that's a problem.
Where all my packages come from.
Fair enough. AJ Catanzaro.
Who
is a pro with the AJ Catanzaro. is best known for, or I guess not best known, but okay, what was AJ's what was his amateur number growing up?
89? No.
That's Bobo.
No, there's another kid. No, there's another Cali rider, 89. Can you think back?
Sean Hackley.
There we. Wow, damn it, Brad. Wow, I'm impressed, dude. I'm impressed.
First guess.
Oh.
Holy crap! Good
I
job.
don't know what. Dave, you used to ride with AJ. What was his number?
It was the
I know
big
it is.
3-0.
Rio,
Just
and he was
30?
best known for, and you can go back to it on YouTube on the video called Whips and Scrubs. AJ Cat has some of the sickest whips on that particular video. All right,
that
let's,
kid looks awesome. And amateurs, that was his forte, whips.
Fair enough. The Martin brothers. Let's go Minnesota real quick. Can we name at least 3 teams that the Martin brothers have raced for?
Well, the one's currently on Honda Geico and the other's on Suzuki. JGR Suzuki? No. Shit. Trying to think back because I always mix them up, Jeremy and Alex, but
Alex is older.
yeah, but Jeremy's raced. Which one broke their back? They were out for like a year and a half.
Jeremy.
Okay. One on a Cowie. Their first in like 17, or no?
No, never on a cow. Well, I don't know that Alex Martin didn't race a Cannondale Kawasaki in 2009.
But that's way back when.
Wow, that's going. Wow, that's
that was the year after. That was the year after we raced 1110 mods and had his bike blow up all the time.
Oh, don't give her away! I was gonna say that one.
I was gonna say, Dave, I did 2. Now, can we tag team it? Can you get the other 2?
Yeah. Okay. So we got the Geico Honda, we got JGR, we got TLD KTM, we got Cycle Trader, we got Star Racing, and then we've got 11.
Did you say Cycle Trader?
No, sorry. Cycle Trader, Rock River.
Okay.
Then what was that? 1110 mods.
He asked for 4, Dave.
Wait, how many did I just give you? Was that like 5?
The only one you didn't say was Star Racing Yamaha.
No, I said Star Racing. I was getting ready to say Star, then Star Racing.
I think that's all of them.
That's the most.
The boys have been around. Actually, it's still Star Racing Yamaha, but Jeremy also raced for the MyPlash Star Racing Yamaha team back then.
What was that? What was MyPlash?
I think it was like a credit card pay company that sort of like the Square thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's legitimately what they were, and I think at some point they were also sponsored by DNA Shred Sticks, which went debunked. I think Davalos rode for them at the time, as well as here's a trivia question neither one of you will get. Maybe Dave will get it. The last person to win a Supercross in the 250 class on a carbureted motorcycle was
250
on a Star Racing.
Meaning Lights 250?
Yeah, Lights class. I believe it was even called the Lights class at the time.
Sipes?
Ryan Sipes.
There
Number
we go.
35 on
that
a
old Yami.
Yeah, that was. I believe they rode Thor gear. That was ugly stuff.
I've still got Thor gear hanging up in my closet.
That bike wasn't pretty either that year.
That was bad bike. So okay, what is the current score? Is it like, are we like 3-2 right now in favor?
Sounds about right.
I think Zoe's winning 3-2.
So
Probably.
All right. I think best first to 5. Can we go first to 5?
Cool.
oh gosh, all right.
First to get 5 questions correct. Okay. This is great radio.
Come on, Brad. We have so many ears to pull from.
Name 2 teams in the last 5 years that have changed bike manufacturers but stayed the same team.
Troy Lee Designs, TLD. They went from Geico to KTM, right?
You mean Hondas?
Yeah. Yeah, Honda's to KTM.
Okay. Who else changed brands? Dave, any guesses?
Yeah, I will go with JGR.
Okay, JGR.
What were they before Cowie? Or they're not Cowie. Just what were they?
Yamaha.
They're Yamaha.
Okay. To Suzuki, right?
Well, they were Yamaha, then Suzuki, now back on Yamahas. Or no, not. Oh, I guess no, they're Suzuki still.
Yeah, they're still Suzuki because Martin's on
they
it.
started off as a Yamaha team. Justin Brayton.
I have another one.
Who's that?
Team CR22. Does that count?
Oh yeah, CR22. Yeah, I'd give that to you. They change like the wind. From Hondas to Kawasaki's to Husqvarna's to now
KTM.
they were on Hondas and then KTM's. So that's
follow the money. Yeah.
Yeah, they follow more like they follow support or whoever Chad has pissed off.
So many eras to pull from. You can do 05 to 10, 2010 to 15, 15
I don't
to
think
20.
I can't pull some out from 05. I can't be like, oh, who turned pro at Hangtown 2004 for the Geico Honda that at that time called the Factory Connection Honda.
There we go.
The fact that you can just pull that out of your mind just blows me away.
You guys know who it was?
2004?
2 guys, actually.
Josh Grant.
And?
Was it Will Hahn?
Your guy.
Cat?
No.
Oh.
Ryan.
Who else is his buddy, though? I didn't know he had more than one friend. You confused me with that.
Who had tons of speed out east and then completely flamed out 4 years later. Come on, Ryan Mills.
Oh, 44. I forgot, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That guy was so... No one brings him up, man.
Yeah, I've honestly, I've tried to get on a podcast. He wants nothing to do with it. I
remember that Ryan Mills. The guy he showed some speed, man. He showed some like rookie speed. Those bikes looked awesome back then, by the way.
Name 3 riders that have name 5 guys in the last 5 years that have turned pro for Geico Honda after Loretta's.
Both Lawrences, did they? Or were they just picked up from Australia?
One Lawrence did.
Okay. Do I have to say which one? I'm assuming Hunter, but...
No, it was Jet.
It was Jet?
Yeah.
Isn't Hunter the older brother?
Yeah, he turned pro at he had his first AMA race at Hangtown.
Okay.
He was hurt when Jet turned pro.
Oh, is that what it was? That's why there was only one at the beginning of this. Got it. Okay.
The last 5 years. Okay, I think I got it.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
Okay. I'm going to go 1 Joe Schmoda.
Easy.
I'm going to go with Carson Mumford.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Jordan Smith.
Yes.
I'm going to go with RJ Hampshire.
Yes.
And can I pick Justin Bogle? No, because he was earlier than that.
He turned pro in Supercross.
Who could be the other dude? I know it's super glaring too.
You can say Lawrence like I just did.
I guess I could pick Jet.
You could pick Lawrence.
You took that one.
You could take Tristan Charbonneau. You could take there's a number of guys. There's a little while there. There's a couple of years where they didn't have anybody coming out right after Amit.
Yeah,
because they had.
Charbonneau didn't do too much, man.
No, I think he's roofing now. That's him and who's that other kid that was racing? We gave him so much crap last year. They was racing for TLP. He's trash.
What Cantrell?
Cantrell. I think he legitimately works construction now.
Really?
Like factory ride to I think he might be like road resurfacing or something. I don't know.
Oh man, who's the
Someone
fifth that I'm?
Correct me on
I don't
that.
know who the fifth I'm missing. Not Vogel. That was longer than 2015, wasn't it?
That was 2015.
Really?
Yes.
No, because I watched him his first Supercross. That was before I moved out to Wisconsin. I think that was like 13 or 14, something like that.
I remember talking about it on the podcast, and my first year doing the show was 2014. So if it was more than 5 years ago, it was 2014.
Yeah, I think it was 2014. Because I remember I watched that in like a bar or something.
At a bar?
Yeah.
You go to a bar?
Oh, you didn't drink, Dave?
They had wing night.
He's a closet drinker.
They had wing night.
That's the closet right there, and behind it.
Okay, yeah. We'll count Mr. Zach Bell.
Okay. Name a 3-time women's WMA champion.
Jessica Patterson.
Boom.
Come on, Zoe.
My mind's going to
Ashley Flielick?
Sarah Whitmore. No,
I don't
just because I roomed with her at SCA last year. She's a badass woman. I don't think she had 3.
JP
yeah,
Money.
no, it's just who I was. When you get like a one-track thought.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of her name, but Flielick, did she?
I think she might have won 3. She definitely won 2.
Yeah. I used to love Sarah Whitmore, dude. I had the biggest crush on Sarah Whitmore when I was like.
So did I.
Oh, do you remember
She's
that
a kick-ass woman.
Remember that one Transworld pullout she did?
That's around here somewhere. I
was like, oh, that's a cool tattoo.
Yeah. I was big fan.
I'm sure Zoe was into it too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Wow. This is a family show. We talked about going to church earlier. All right, guys. I think Zoe's the winner here. Dave, I could have pulled out name me the 3 riders that were ridden for PC that were allowed to ride in their own gear deal aside from the team. That, of course, Ricky Carmichael, Michael Pichon, and none other than what's his name? Purcell. All 3 of those guys. We could pull all kinds of things, like who turned pro after Hangtown in 2007. Trey Kennard.
You're just showing off now.
Yep. We go all day. His only Supercross win, 1998 in LA Coliseum. Who was it? On a privateer Kawasaki.
It wasn't Dowd, was it?
No.
Dowd
won his very first Supercross in '98. Later that year in the mud in Charlotte.
On a Yamaha.
Kawasaki.
It was a Kawasaki for Dowd?
Kawasaki. Dowd rode a Kawasaki because he raced the other coast and then came over and raced.
I think it was Yamaha.
Or maybe it was he raced. Yeah. He was racing opposite coast. Charlotte. He won.
Privateer Kawasaki.
Yeah, French guy.
Nobody likes the French. That's why he doesn't know.
It wasn't Bale, was it? No.
Sebastian Tortelli. Bale? You're going to go Bale.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about freaking Tortelli, dude.
Yeah, how did you forget about Tortelli? He's the best looking man to ever race Supercross.
He is
aside from.
I'll give you that one.
Okay, completely off topic.
Yeah.
Trivia is over. Zoe, aside from meeting Zach, your dream guy, blah, 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 who is the best looking Supercross racer over the last, let's say the last 10 years, or maybe all time, who did you like, just like as a little girl, like big heart eyes for so-and-so racing?
She's going to pick Ralph.
I don't know. I feel like when you're younger, just like all of them are just so cute.
It's Nick Way.
What? I don't know. As a teenage girl, you just go through like whoever's the fastest that week. I swear.
Jonas Brothers, if they would have raced their bikes.
No, not quite that bad. I don't know. To be honest, probably I don't have any, but no one in particular. No one standing out.
Colt Nichols with that jaw and like the that kind of that smoldering look. Yeah, like
the earring.
If he needs to. Oh, don't start with me. He is much better looking than whoever you can come up with.
I'm more like a little bit of a country. So, Tomac's got it going a little bit.
He's from Oklahoma.
It's a more... Is he from Colorado?
What do you want? No.
He lives in Colorado. They go fishing all the time.
No, Colt Nichols. Yeah, all right. Yeah, Eli. Like, Eli's got, I don't even say a funny look to him. He's just like, I don't know. He's got the beard.
Who says he has to be perfect? Just kidding. That's... All right.
He's the best looking dude, Stewart. Second best looking dude, Stewart's brother. Then Sean Hackley.
I would not say.
Well, if you're going down with Stewart and Stewart's brother, shouldn't Dave be number 3?
Then Bailey, of course.
No, Sean Hackley's a better looking man than Dave.
Dude, definitely not. I run the table on the.
Yeah. And then David Pulley is, for the first time ever, David Pulley's top 4 in something.
Dave Pulley's got me in the eye department for sure, dude. Once he gets those,
he's got them smoky wolf eyes.
Yeah, once he gets those like gleaming and the chicks see him, dude, it's over for all of us. It's over for everybody. It's over for absolutely everyone, dude. Once the eyes get going.
Okay, we got to wrap this up. This is getting long-winded.
No
one is watching. If you go to the analytics on the back end and watch who's watching this late in a YouTube video of like an hour and 20 minutes, like it better be 0 people. It's 0 people and Josh Greco because he's not people.
He's not people. Dude, we got to do trivia. I think honestly, the trivia portion is worth its own pod or YouTube session. We got to get that going. We got to do Big MX Radio, the collective experience, Moto trivia. Get some guests on here. Knock it out.
Moto Trivia Monday.
Moto Trivia Monday.
I like it. Leave it to an organized young lady to come up with a way better name than we would have come up with. Just the 2 of us trying to brainstorm, Dave. 100%. Appreciate you guys coming on. Appreciate the podcast. Appreciate you putting this on YouTube for people to see my beautiful face. I just here's to good lighting and great reviews and mean comments on YouTube.
No, I'm excited, man. I'm really glad we got a chance to do this. You and I, Brad, been talking about doing this for a little while. Glad we got Zoe in here for an expert opinion, since she's an expert in the industry at this point. I want to keep doing this. I want to say thank you to Big MX Radio, who's been an absolute tremendous supporter. Brad and I go back and forth, but the guy is salt of the earth, super nice. Really does great things with Big MX Radio. And guys, make sure you spread the word. Also, thank you to FlowVision, FXR, Overshare Advice and Planning. We got to say thank you to Broke Amateur Racing, as well as Big MX Radio and all of our great supporters. We're going to do this again, Brad. I'm having a blast doing it.
That was way fun.
Zoe, feel free to clue in anytime. You're keeping us in track, like Brad said, so we need all the help we can get.
Yeah, you were the direction on this rudderless boat that was YouTube video.
Sometimes you just need a woman to keep the men in line, that's all.
I can't argue.
And that time is always.
I can't argue.